Hey, we're Jeffrey and Andrew Donovan. We've been together for 6 years.
Married for 5.
And some of you may recognize us from the Far Between videos that we did. And we kind of just wanted to give you an update and tell you how our lives have changed since that time.
So if you're not familiar, the Far Between videos was just an interview series where they showed the experiences of people who'd grown up Mormon and gay. And our path from where we were then, which is believing in the church and being active Mormons, and we even thought we'd raise children in the gospel, in the LDS gospel. It's different than where we are now. So just really fast, the intention of this video is to open your mind up to new possibilities, especially if you're someone who has grown up Mormon and gay and you're suffering or struggling to know who you are or where you fit in. We've got some things that we've experienced that have been immensely powerful in changing our lives and helping us come to a space where we connect to our worth. And also, if you're the family member or if you're a close loved one of someone who is gay and you're just looking for answers, this could be helpful for you too.
So a little bit of background on me. I was raised LDS Mormon and very much, in my teenage years and even my early adulthood, really resisted the path, resisted the things that I was taught, and both resisted my sexuality and being gay and what that looked like and what that meant to me. And I toggled back and forth between relationships and living the ungodly way versus honoring the part of myself that really wanted to align with God. And then it was just a few years ago that I shifted a path and was put on this journey of alignment where I realized it was about encompassing all parts of me together.
And my journey was a little bit different. I also grew up Mormon, but I was a very good Mormon boy. I did everything by the book. So I went to seminary, I went on a Mormon mission for 2 years in Russia, and when I came home, I went to BYU, Brigham Young University. I dated girls and very much intended to marry a girl in the LDS temple and raise my children in the LDS church too. And our point in sharing these backgrounds is we want you to understand that we've got a little bit of a mix here. Someone who was pretty resistant and someone who was totally in the flow. And we know what suffering looks like when you've grown up gay and Mormon, because we both came to that junction in our lives where we realized, oh my gosh, you have to choose. And we, even after we got married, we went to church. We went to a Mormon church, and when we lived in Hawaii, we'd go every week. And we tried to be just happy worshipers of Jesus and also be true to who we were and devoted to our marriage. And for me, I remember even a few years before that point, I had moments where I just hated myself. I got to this point where I didn't have a coming out. I was kind of weird. I just started bringing boys home to family dinner and they let them figure it out, right?
Very atypical.
Yeah, typical for me. And it was very happy at first, but I got to this point where I realized that my eternal salvation, this path that I had been put on where I was, checking everything off on the list and working my way towards salvation, it didn't work with loving a man or wanting to be married to a man. And I remember this day when I cried for 13 hours straight, just inner turmoil. I went and sat on a bench in front of one of the LDS temples in Utah and just bawled because I was so confused. I remember that day I pulled my car over on the side of the road crying and just told God, if you want me to marry a girl, I promise I will do it. Just help me feel confident or help me see clarity. And yeah, I remember moments of just loathing myself because I felt torn, because I'd known what happiness in the Mormon church felt like, being a good missionary, being worthy of, following church standards. And I'd also experienced these moments where I allowed myself to express my love in ways that were meaningful to me, aka being with a man, and it felt so authentic and so rich and in many moments so spiritually aligned for me. So we get the conflict.
Then all of that shifted and changed when a device, a tool, came into our awareness. And it was a meditation series. It was really just something to kind of open our minds. We thought it was about money.
It was called Creating Abundance. So we got it and we thought, oh great, we'll manifest more money into our lives.
And it really kind of opened us up to a new way of thinking and shifting and uncovering our beliefs and where they come from. And we kind of realized some important lessons there.
Yeah, the lesson was so profound and it was so simple. And it's this: you are not your beliefs or your thoughts or your actions or anything measurable or trackable on the surface. What you are is ineffable. It goes so much deeper, and words don't even work to describe what you actually are. And so at this point in our lives, we stopped tracking our actions and trying to be worthy or become worthy, and instead started connecting to our inherent worth. And that changed everything for us.
We really started to connect to spiritual principles that are universal and underlying, that we weren't seeing through our current paradigm. We were getting stuck in the message up here instead of really resonating with the message at the core. And that was of our own inherent worth, and connecting to that and understanding that it cannot be diminished or taken away, that our worth just exists, and it is, and period.
So Jeffrey just said a word that's really important to talk about. He said paradigm, and also core. A paradigm is your set of beliefs. Most of our paradigms are far beneath our consciousness. We, in the LDS church, we have vernacular where we say things like, I know the church is true, I know this person's a prophet of God, and we say that those are our beliefs. Most beliefs you're not even conscious of. Most of our belief system is stuff that we just absorbed as little child sponges when we were in our youngest, earliest years. Things that you absorb from observing the world around you. The beliefs that people frequently house underneath their subconscious are things like, I live in an abundant world, I'm worthy of love, I'm not worthy of love. Maybe you had a childhood where you had parents that fought a lot, and so a belief that you inherited was marriage is hard, or marriage is ugly, or love is difficult, or love means unhappiness. And it's important to understand these core beliefs, because that's how you see the entire world around you. Your world is only a reflection of the things that you believe at your deepest level. So the reason why that's relevant to the topic of this video, what to do if you're Mormon and gay, is we suffered so much because we were trying to solve an outside experience with a paradigm that did not match at all. We very much believed that our worth was contingent to our obedience to God, to what Mormons believe God commands and recommends for
Well, the God of
happiness.
our understanding, right?
Right. And we want to offer a little caveat here. Notice we're not saying that Mormonism is bad or wrong. What we're saying is that we either have beliefs that serve us or don't serve us. Now, in the Mormon church, it's very important to know the truth, to have all of the truth, or to have the fullest truth. And what we've come to understand is that you are the truth. It's not something that you go and collect. It's not something that you obtain or you lose or you forget. If anything, the only thing that separates us from worth, from love, from beauty, from meaning is all the mental filters that we put in front of ourselves that block our ability to see, to connect to the worth that you are.
I recently saw a post floating around Facebook, and it was poking fun at a certain communist country. And it had the country, voicing what it wanted for its people. And it said, we want you to learn these ideals and these values, but we want them to come through these channels. And they said, we want you to form answers and reach conclusions on your own, but they better be these answers and these conclusions.
Which is kind of funny because there is knowledge and possibility and meaning that exists everywhere. It's not up to us to control where truth exists.
This is important because we started realizing, okay, so our own inherent worth, our own inherent truth, and again, what kind of kickstarted us on this journey, a few things were happening all at once. We realized that we were seeing beauty and meaning outside of the paradigm that was instilled within us. So, back then I would have used vernacular of the feelings of the Spirit, or feeling really connected to God when I'm living according to, the teachings of the gospel or whatever. But I started to experience those feelings of happiness and those feelings of joy and love and light in places that I was told, according to my beliefs, that I had been raised with, that I couldn't find happiness and peace and love in those spaces, that I couldn't feel connected to God in certain areas. I was experiencing that outside of the box, outside of the paradigm that I had been raised with. And so it really baffled me. It really led me to feel some confusion, for sure.
Confusing is a great word, because you have the little voice in your head that's saying, well, maybe it's only temporal happiness, or in the church we were taught to believe that people couldn't have a full happiness outside of the gospel. It was temporal happiness, or it was fabricated, or it was we were worried that we had deluded ourselves into thinking that we were happy. And in moments of stillness outside of all of the mental chatter, in our hearts, we had totally connected to authentic divinity, and it was so beautiful. And so we spent the next few years deconstructing our beliefs and saying, okay, is this an actual truth from God, or is this something that I've adopted that maybe served me at one point and doesn't serve me anymore?
Our invitation to you is not to think the way that Jeff and Andrew think.
No.
It's more than that.
Yeah, not at all. Our invitation for you is really simple. Be willing to see beauty outside of where you believe it is supposed to exist. And when you can just have that subtle, gentle willingness, that's when possibilities will start opening up to you. I know, seeing the title of this video, What to Do If You're Mormon and Gay, you're probably thinking that we're going to have some kind of like checklist. We see a lot of people that leave the church and out of a place of anger or resentment, or they feel they've been trapped or deluded or constricted in some way. And Jeffrey and I, we don't have hard feelings against the LDS Church. For us, it's just become irrelevant because it doesn't align with what we feel, where we feel called to be, how we feel called to exist in this life. And if you can start with just the willingness to see and experience beauty outside of where you believed it should exist, that's where miracles are just waiting to flood your experiences.
So again, back to the purpose of this video, to see your worth, to uncover beliefs that aren't serving you, to really connect with your own divinity, your own understanding, and again, not to think what we think, but just to get to you, invite you to a space of peace, a space of happiness, and a space of joy.
It totally is waiting for you. And we know that we've opened up a whole can of worms here. We'll do follow-up videos to this one. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. We'd love to see your comments below. And mostly, we just want for you to connect to the worth that you are.
But not too much, just like a teeny bit. Or else your lips will go from dull to shiny.
What if we do it in accents?
Well, the purpose and intention of this video is...
Yes, and if you're growing up gay and you're also Mormon, you're really
Oh,
good.
here, let's promote a spiritual lifestyle like Johnny Ivy.
You can have some there. But maybe we're not cute.
Maybe. How are you, Corey? And when we deconstructed the belief system, it was entirely new and innovative what came out of it. It's our best belief system yet. By making this small change to our hardware and our manufacturing processes,
Belief system.
we were able to instill this new belief system, and I know you're going